Hi, Sagittarius. How are you? All right, well, happiest now. Happy birthday if it's your birthday coming up. What'd you do last year on your birthday? Uh, I feel like in this time, some of the mornings could maybe be a little rough, or like maybe the little earlier part of the day. I heard maybe a little bit of stress in your way. So maybe you just want to check in on some basic things like, well, check in meaning remind yourself of how far, like what you have achieved up into this point. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to look at your success a little bit. You know what I mean? Instead of looking at all the things like you don't have time for, or you can't do, or what have you at this time. It's like, well, I see again another like checking in. Let's see what that's about. I'm gonna use this herbal deck this month, the Herbal Tarot. It has a very special box. Let's see, Sagittarius. Yeah, if it's a little bit wonky, let's see. Page of Cups. Maybe some of you just soaking your feet would be a nice thing. Again, I see, instead of being like, I feel like you could be naturally, in some way or another, focusing on a negative thing during this time frame. Okay? So if that's the case, try to catch yourself. If I heard if it's stressing you out, try to catch yourself. I heard whether this is about you, your tasks, or someone else. And sort of shift your focus and be like, okay, what have I learned recently? Or like, what have you done recently that was really impressive? You know what I mean? That was even creative in a kind of way. What was that? That may be helpful. Because you know what? Even when you're having a bad day, 5 of Cups, right? Sometimes it doesn't have, well, how do I want to death at the bottom? Just a minute. Well, are we kind of doing that right now? It's been almost 4 minutes. Not that long in the grand scheme. But that's 4 minutes of water rippling in a frictional, you know what I mean? Like something kind of flailing instead of realizing like, okay, I'm sitting on solid ground. I'm solid. It is solid. It's okay. And I heard it's okay. It's okay. There was a reading a long time ago. We talked about this. You take your hands and you put them on your head, right? You're Sagittarius. The opposite is Gemini. You get in your head. You know what I mean? Or when you talk about things, sometimes you can loop when you're talking about certain things, especially when they're actually kind of like scary or hard. So you have to be the one that's sort of like, all right, I'm done playing double dutch. I'm gonna pop out over here. So I guess this is about controlling your own. I heard something, mind control. It's like controlling your mind, right? But I guess also allowing, for instance, the emotional thing to come to the surface, but not necessarily see that situation as something necessarily negative. This is how that you have to. That's, I guess that's a kind of, there's something about this cleansing. I keep seeing some, like a cup, but it's sort of a tulip also. It's purple. There's a purple one and a yellow one. Because I suppose well, there's a contrary energy here. What is that about? Justice. Well, it balances itself out, but I guess you, again, maybe you want to look at what you have done that has helped you put yourself in order, right? Where you have overcome challenges or figured out how to work together. And there's something about empathy here. Wood batoni. This plant is actually good for if you're arguing with someone. Especially if you live with them. But it chills it out. I heard please try to, somebody needs to try to hear somebody out. But not just the words that they're saying. It's the feeling behind it that's important too. Yes, High Priestess in the world. And also remember that if you are a very sensitive person, with a strong shield, then you have to remember that the shield is, it needs to be replenished. It's like think of your shield or your protection from that which is outside of you that's confusing, right? If we're talking about worldly sorts of things, that can affect you even if, well, it's energy, right? The point is that this shield of protection has something, it's like a similar energy of like gas in your car. You know what I mean? Like you have to eventually, for it to be and to do what you please, you have to replenish it, right? King of Cups. To feel good about the journey where you're going. How often do you show your teeth, Sagittarius? Okay. If you have the ability to, well, no, let's change that sentence. You have the ability to make time to do what you need to do for all the parts of the things for you to handle in this time. You have that capacity, okay? But for some of this, you have to, like, make time. You know what I mean? Like, you know how sometimes you can get everything. I'm seeing someone, like, doing all the things, and it's very easy and flowing, and you're like, oh my God, best day ever, right? This was done, and that came out great, and I had a nice conversation with them, and even if you had, like, a challenging part, right, you just dealt with it, and it didn't, like, overwhelm you, right? It didn't overwhelm the situation. And sometimes it's a little, if there's a lot of friction, well, I guess this is telling you to wait or to sit or to be patient. choose a few. Oh, okay. Okay, lots of people hang their head in like shame or guilt or sorrow or what have you. But we can also like bow our head in praise, in appreciation, and respect. Right? Sagittarius. Cool reading. Sagittarius. Four of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. Well, if home is good, work is better. Right? If you can, for instance, take a few days off of work or give yourself a little down time to sit. Yes. Yes. Maybe you want to go sit in the woods or in a park, or maybe you want to sit by, like under a tree, by some water. Maybe you want to go out to your garden and just sit on the earth. I feel like you need that. So please make some time for that. Because this is going to help you to connect more with I see your own place of power. Yes. It'll steady you. It'll slow your mind down. You know, make sure that because I keep seeing two people talking, and it's as if one of the people in the equation is, while the other person is talking, they're thinking about what they want to say. You know what I mean? Versus really listening. Not only to what is being said, but then that little bit, because there's a space in between that's really important. I see that's where the honesty comes from. Like an honest understanding. You know what I mean? And I saw somebody praying for somebody going through a hard time, death. Well, I guess who is it that you know that is going through a bit of a hard time? How can you maybe be of service that way? But please remember, well, I guess you have to fill the tank again after you do that. Does this make sense? Because otherwise you won't feel so rooted. And I see in a positive aspect as well, you could have better ideas this way. You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay, not thinking about like, again, what you need to get done right now or what is not being done, but what you could do, you know, in a couple days or a couple weeks or a couple months or even a couple years for you. You know, like, no need to push it to get everything done right now. Being barefoot does help a lot. Well, I see no one's perfect, but try to be... What's this? St. John's Wort with the King of Swords. The King of Swords is sort of a person that, well, they make conscious, logical, they make important decisions with their words after sitting and really listening to both sides of the situation, right? From one end to the other. There's no, you know what I mean? It's not murky, yes. Interesting. So see, be honest even in the smallest of ways, if you can at this time. Not necessarily telling somebody else what's happening, but like honest in yourself. Like, why did you have that judgment? Or why did you, why was today a great day? Why do you find that butterfly? Why does the butterfly make us smile? I don't know. Or why are you, for instance, like, well, I don't know. Maybe you could be sad or scared about something. That's okay too. Like where you're at or where something's at. And then I saw someone praying again. It's a silent prayer. We can only just do, I guess we're just all doing our best with what it is that we know at this time. But I guess just remember, because I feel like Sagittarius to me is a pretty optimistic sign. You have a lot of passion, but tapping into the emotional part can be a little hard sometimes, right? Pisces is the other Jupiter. It's a little... Well, your inconjunct is Taurus and Cancer, I guess, right? So it's about really speaking how you feel, or not being afraid to, or have that conversation even with your own feelings, like what's happening? Why is there a wave? Or why is it so, not why necessarily is it so placid, but just remember, the wind moves the water. I don't think any major decisions should be made during this time. Doesn't feel like that. No Eight of Wands in the reverse. You want to just hold steady where you are. Okay? Like, figure out what's going on with you to figure out more of what's going on with other people. And then I saw someone really listening again to someone. So do you feel as if you're being heard? Are you really listening? Again, not just to the words, but to the spaces in between. And if that is not yours, or again, there's intensity somewhere, you have to remember to replenish. Do you know what I mean? like go back and center yourself, and this has a lot to do with quieting your mind. Okay? And maybe what it is, there could be something too that's triggering, for lack of a better term, it's causing you to maybe remember something. Because you're turning something's being turned into something else. And remember that some people have, like, it's easy for people to see, right? And for some people, it's hard to see. Just a minute. You're remembering something, but something isn't necessarily happening. There's a part of this. Or you're being reminded of something, but it's not necessarily happening. It's like, I heard sloshing the waters, so know when you're in it and how to get out of it. Like, and I know that sounds simple, right? But it's not. It's complex to... It's magical it's... Well, I guess there's a lot of magic in silence. And I heard 3 minutes is not a long time. No, 3-4 minutes. Remember in the beginning? It's like, it's okay. Yes. And then from there, it's like, okay, the energy shifts. 3 of Cups, feeling better. 9 of Pentacles, like content. You get your zip back, right? You get your zazz back, I heard. Start working together. Like, I heard creative means are being expressed. And I keep seeing someone again, like washing a cup. That is also a flower. Thanks for being here. I hope this was of service. Of course. Happiest now, Sagittarius. Talk to you next time. Peace out.